So quite recently I've been doing a lot more sort of advanced and larger tanks, and today I want to do something that's super simple that everyone can have a go at and it's going to get great success on. Now I'm currently using an Opti-White generic 60 centimeter, 90 litre tank, but you can use anything. Like this light as well is medium budget, I'd say, but again, you can use whatever you actually want to grow the plants we're going to be using in this tank, and you'll get great success. So for instance, this tank next door to it is like super cheap. You can see the difference. This has got the black silicone rim, which actually sometimes can look really nice. It doesn't really weigh anything because the glass is quite thin as well, but it'll still look just as good. Like, it just depends. If you can get hold of these, get them. If you can't, any glass box is going to do. So filtration wise, we've just got this tiny little canister, little baby canister here, but it completely does the job. I changed the inlet and outlet to be these sort of spoked ones because it just looks really nice in there. Again, you can have a hang on the back, you can have an internal, there's loads of options. Just get something that can push the water around effectively.
Like the one next door, for example.
Yeah, this one's a hang on the side because I've got a light background, but yeah, I prefer to have a canister if you can get hold of it. The owls are optional. And you'll notice that this tank has got a massive scratch across the front, but we're not going to worry about that because that's the sort of thing everyone's probably got at home as well. I could take the background off and spin it round, but no, who cares? Now we're making the simplest planted tank we can, so we need a substrate. Whoa.
It's bright over here.
So first of all, I need some gravel. So it's like a pea gravel, perfect sort of sizing. I'm going to mix that with a load of soil. So this is the soil. You can see it's like dried soil, but when we stick it in here, it's going to make all of this stuff really, really nutrient rich. I like to put it in the gravel just because it goes further. There's gaps then for water to go through it, and also for roots to be able to penetrate a lot easier as well. All of that. In fact, I probably want a little bit more. Right. So I tend to go for an almost 50-50 mix. I'd say that's about right. Get her stirred up. It works a little bit better if the gravel's got a bit of moisture as well, just so the soil could stick to it a little bit better. Someone said about getting a ladder that was the, you know, one of those?
Oh yeah.
Like a up, but it can also be an up.
Oh yeah.
And then we could do like a platform, make all of this stuff a lot easier. Shall I order it?
We make our lives much harder for ourselves.
Harder? Oh, we do now?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we don't need it.
Nah, we don't need it. We got this. I know this won't work in editing
mode, but it's still cool.
But
worked a treat.
It gets better every time.
Right, so we now want to lay in our soil and gravel, all in the background. I will do some in the foreground, but you shouldn't be able to see it by the time I've covered it up with decorative sand. So that's step one done. Now we need to cap all of that just to make sure all those nutrients just can't float into the water column. Is there a bag open of sand? So I've got a really nice sand here. Granule size look is that. It's not like a powder, it's not like a gravel, it's somewhere in between. I'd say a medium grained sand. We always want to start at the front. It stops us pushing any of that soil into the clean area because I want this quite open. I think it'll look really nice. I'm not going for any amazing designs because the point is I'm trying to do something that you guys can really easily replicate that looks beautiful. Now for the professional aquascaping tool. The only reason I'm holding this right now is because Steph went and got it for me, because we all know I'm too lazy to walk all the way over there and get it.
I've changed you.
So now we've got that base and nutrient locked down, it's time to start building up the structure of the scape. Now, I'm going to use something that's the most accessible to like the most common aquascaping rock around the world is Cereal stone. I've got quite a bit of it so we can use it, but you can use any rocks you like. You can get pebbles, boulders, anything, but this is the most common aquascaping rock that you can buy in most shops, most people can, so we'll go with this. Now, the easiest composition to do, I think, is triangular composition, which basically means everything comes from one corner and sort of goes the other way. And even easier still is if you just make a nice little rock barrier between, you know, the start point, which will be right back in this side corner, and this has got a nice flat edge on it, so it ties in really nicely there. And then I'm just going to keep the rocks going. You can follow strata lines if you want to. You know, if you've got a nice big selection of rock, you can often find that you can get it to sort of travel together. So you see how this is going like that, and this can go like that. Sometimes it's better to do it opposing as well, though. I personally think by the time you've got it all planted with wood in, who really cares? It's not something I worry about, that's for sure, but I know a lot of other like pro scapers and things do pay attention to that. Yeah, I'm not set in stone
Very good.
on anything yet. I'm just getting it placed in there and just having a little look. Close off the last area as well. Now this one is very straight. You can do that if you want to, but I always find that it looks a little bit better if you bring one in front of the other and sort of just slightly overlap them, and it breaks up the straight line to it's just a bit more interesting. Now I've got a nice gap there for something else that can maybe come this way. I have to find it. Oh, I think I've got just the right piece. This might go quite nice. Quite like the way that's just doing that. And we've got some more space here now for something. We could have some wood creeping through there, or anything really. We can build up more height as well at the back with sand in a minute if we want to. I'll stick with that for now. Start to get some wood in, and we can place some more rocks where we want as well to give a more 3D look. But so far, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bits of rock. So I've got some really nice big... Ooh. Never stand on the top rung, guys.
I'm not showing it, it's fine, so it doesn't count.
Okay, good. I've got some nice big black spider wood here, which I've only just balanced. That's a good piece. Potentially a good piece. It's for you, Steph.
Oh, thank you. Oh, it's lovely stuff, isn't it? How's it black?
I don't know. I thought they just burnt it, but that's clearly
it's definitely not burnt.
It's like it's oxidised or something under
it's
the,
like
maybe it's in a peat.
Yeah, like bog oak goes really black. It's really black. Oh, you sniff it.
It smells like highways.
Spiders. Highways.
Right, we've got quite a few choices here. And looking at the rock structure we've done so far, I'm looking at that, thinking it might go really nicely over the rocks. Give it a go.
Lovely.
There's only ever one way to find out.
Get it in.
And it kind of does, but then I've got this weird thing in the middle of nowhere. So that's a no, but maybe the other way. Again, this just isn't the right piece for this setup.
Looks like something out of the Matrix.
Is it?
Just
Matrix tank. Let's go.
That's quite interesting.
It is, but you want the majority of it at the moment being here.
Yeah, it's very central,
and
isn't
sort
it?
of reaching.
Reacher.
Reacher tank.
Great series.
Let's go. This one looks like it has potential to do what we're looking for. This is why it's quite good when you're at your shop. You like just measure out an area of the footprint and you can fiddle around with it in there, because coming back here and then you haven't got what you need or thought would work is always annoying. So we've got some potential here. Almost want to snap off a stick, but I won't. Maybe I will. Oh. Maybe not off, just... There we go. Now we're getting into the realms. Problem with this is that there's not enough of a gap
to clean.
No. So if I can move the rock...
Very key consideration.
Now we've got a gap, but not quite as big as I'd want. There we go. Now I've got the gap, I can get my razor blade down, absolutely fine. It's coming right into the foreground, so it's giving it a nice bit of depth. But that piece alone, a little bit lame. Oh, that's gonna work well. I like it a lot. So we can either do something like this, keep the theme sort of going along, or you can switch it up completely and do something like this to bring some height to the scape. If you've got multiple pieces, then you can do both. But at the moment we don't. And it's quite realistic actually to what you guys might have. I haven't got that much of a selection here, so I've got to try and use a little bit of tomfoolery and trickery. So that's quite cool, but I think if I just come back a little, it's got potential. Let me have a play around with it and I'll get back to you shortly. So there we go, with the small selection I've got, this is what I'm coming up with. And it's the sort of thing you guys might be restricted to. So I'm not gonna sit here and try to completely create a masterpiece, because I know that it's the sort of thing, a lot of people will be like, well, that's what I've done. That's, you know, if you're happy with it, you can move on to the next stage, because let's face it, when this thing's got plants on it, it's gonna look great. But I'm gonna keep the planting quite minimal, just because I know that like a lot of people, if they're just trying something for the first time, don't wanna go and spend a couple of £100 or dollars on a load of plants that they're not even sure if they're going to be able to grow yet. So we're going to choose plants that I know are so easy to grow. They grow in buckets on the floor with ambient lighting. So any light you've got is going to be good. So the two main plants I want to go for in this tank, one is bulletproof, the other one grows super fast. The super fast one is going to really help with water quality, but just looking awesome straight away. The other one is just pretty and yeah, it doesn't melt, it doesn't do anything like that, it doesn't need any light. Well, it does need some light, but sometimes it grows without light. And the stem plant is going to be my favourite, Limnophila siciliflora. This beautiful one. You could. Sorry, guys, can you just give me a minute?
Try and
come over here, over here. There we go. So this one at the back here, it just always looks really, really beautiful. It goes quite big and it grows super quick. Like I say, I've grown this not even in substrate, just floating on the surface, it will still grow. And as provided you've got any kind of light, it's gonna grow really quickly. Now, the higher powered the light, the closer the nodes go together, the nodes being the different points that the leaves poke out from. Node, so you've got a node, node, node. The lower the light, the bigger the gap between them. So you can see as it gets closer to the light, the nodes become a lot more close together and spaced out down in the darker areas. But it can still look good even when it's like quite nodey and stretched, leggy they call it. So this is the ecosystem tank. It's a good example of the legginess. All the floating plants have blocked out quite a lot of light. Steph, adjust it to how we're seeing it. So how's it looking? Yeah, so that's how we're seeing it. So the camera's showing us how we're seeing the light levels. There's barely any light down here and it still grows towards the light. But you can see the nodes are quite spaced out. There's a section there where they're close together. That's when I cleared the floating plants and it had more light. So you can see, and then the floating plants grew and it got more and more of a gap. None of that's an issue though. It doesn't really matter. And also the more you trim it, the more you get as well, and the closer they are together. But a beautiful plant, look at that. That's barely had any light and it's got this vibrancy and green. It looks so good. I just love it. I think it's a perfect beginner plant. Start with about 5 pots of it, and then you can just keep trimming it as it grows, replant them, and every time you do that, you're like doubling the amount that's in your tank. Every point you trim from, 2 more will come off. So it's just like 3 plants for initial investment, so you get a good return. And the other plant is Anubias. So this is Anubias petite, so it's like a finer leafed one, which will work well in our tank because it's smaller, but any new Anubias you want. You get the bigger leafed, bigger tanks, and the bigger leaf still looks good in smaller tanks actually. And you can see all the new leaves on it. Again, doesn't require a lot of light, but it just pretty much looks good all the time. Very, very basic one, but one you don't have to think about too much, and you can just attach it anywhere because it doesn't have to go in soil either. In fact, you don't want it in soil. If the rhizome, which it all grows on, it's like a long stick it grows on, if you like, you're not supposed to bury that because it needs the water around it. So yeah, we'll use Anubias and Limnophila.
Nice.
So I've got all the plants ready. I'm going to fill out with water now. I always like to do that because when you plant already trimmed plants, I can see exactly what height they need to be at. But what I'm also going to do is simulate like I've got 5 plants and show you what it will look like to start with. And then we can just do like a, this is what it will look like in, with Limonophylla, I'd say within a month, you'll have a lot. Like it grows so fast. So when you're filling up your tank, whatever method you use, just do it really slowly. We don't want to disturb all the sand and get all of those nutrients like fluffed up into the water column. If you do, cover it up again, it's not the end of the world, and just take the water down and go back up because there's way too many nutrients for the lighting to have all that source. The algae just go crazy very quickly. We want to minimize that, especially with a new setup. So this is my little hook thing, and I'm going to put it right down the base, really close to the front, because I didn't put nutrients at the front. And if I just turn it on now, it's going to splash everywhere. So I'm just going to put a bit of filter floss, lay it in the bottom like gently to diffuse the water, and that will allow us to just gently bring it up. Although I haven't stuck any of that wood down, and it probably will float. Yeah, I should probably glue some of those points first. It looks like it's not very floaty, but it probably will. A couple of little glue points where all the bits of wood are touching the rock. That'll lock it all in place. It's not like dense wood, so you don't need huge amounts of glue either. Just each contact point, little dab of glue. If you've got a reactor like I've got, it makes it go hard straight away, which is brilliant. If you don't have that, just wait a day and it will be hard anyway. It's probably best to wait a day. And that's how easy we can forget this part of the process. So I've got super glue gel here, so it comes out and holds its shape as it's like been put on. The liquid, if you put it on, just runs down the rock, whereas this is a gel, and that's exactly what we want in this instance.
Your favourite bit of the process?
It's boring, but it's necessary. So I can see that there's a contact point down here. So I'm going to get the gel right in on that. Nice big blob of it. And then, like I say, I've got the reactor here. And then a nice spray. And that should go hard pretty quickly. There we go. Nice and hard. 1 point isn't enough though, so I'm just going to adjust that rock. So now we've got another point touching, I can see. Get me glue blob in there. Glued most of the pieces in the foreground to the front of the rocks, but some of the pieces in the back are glued to the wood that's glued to the rocks. So it should all be locked in, and it's not really moving when I touch anything. So we're all good. I just want to put one rock in the background as well, lean it up against some of the prongs of the wood, just to sort of make sure it's not going to try and float then and snap off on the front. And that should be absolutely fine. Still plenty of planting room. Right, now we can fill up. So I've got the filter floss. Lay that just underneath. Rest this on the end. It will stir up some of it. It's inevitable. But, you know, that's going to do a job. I'm going to turn the tap, the valve. This is connected to a hose pipe, which is connected to a pump in my water source, which is a barrel of dechlorinated tap water, already at room temperature. So we can like put it in any tank we want at any moment. And this controls the speed. So I can just nice and gentle until the water level's up above it. And then I can turn it up a bit faster. So what I'm going to do now is take the equivalent of if you bought, say, 5 pots. They're only going to be about this long, the stems, aren't they? So I'm going to use some shorter ones and show you how yours would potentially look, and then I'm going to sort of... Did I say this already? I think I did. Anyway, let's go. Just picking out the shorter ones that somewhat can represent a pot. So you get about 5 stems in a pot. So I'm just going to do that. Some of these are a little bit longer than you'd get, but you know, within a couple of days, you're going to get it as well, this size. So you take your stems, push them down into the sand, deep enough that the sand grips them, and gently release your tweezers and re-press them again as you release. Like you just do this as you release, and it keeps the sand.
The other side.
Out. Yeah, as you release inside of the sand, you do this. And what that tends to do then is allow the sand to go back over the stem and sort of grip it in. So this little tank here is quite a good one that I just put any spare bits of Anubias or Bucephalandra, some moss or Bulbitis, anything really, anything that can stick to decor, not be planted, goes in here, and then I reuse it again in new scapes. So here's quite a good example, for instance. This was one pot when I first bought it. Now it's huge, but I'll divide it up into smaller sort of portions like you'd get in the pots. I'll plant that as well. And the good thing about Anubias, like I say, the roots will find the substrate, but what you can do is just find the little cracks and crevices, nice and low if it sits. It looks really good, the way it sort of just frames the wood. It ties in the wood to the rock. Then you've got the plants. It just looks like a nice natural transition. And place these all around. Anywhere we can see some decent gaps, we can place it in. I'm fully messing up the water here, but it's fine. We'll do a water change if we need to. The filter's going to take care of most of it though. Maybe one down here would be nice. No, that one looks a bit weird there because it's so long. So if we go that gap. There we go.
It's quite nice having a sort of cluster of Anubias there as well. It looks great.
This is a little bit different to the normal Anubias because it's growing in such low light. It's all reaching in the same direction. Normally it will grow a bit more compact than that. It just depends on the setup. So it won't grow like this in here now because it's a way more brighter light. And then we've got it sort of going everywhere, so we can put another one back here as well. Between these pieces will work nicely. So now I can sort out the filtration on it, which will clear up that dust pretty quickly. Like I said, I've got this canister filter here. I find that if you fill it up first before you start it, it sort of self-primes and then it'll work. So we'll just let the filter run now for a couple of hours. I'll put in some AquaClear as well. But what we're seeing here is a mistiness in the water. It's just such fine particles of like dirt and dust. So we put the AquaClear in. You do not need a lot of it. And what it does is it clumps the fine pieces to make bigger pieces, and then the filter will take it out and it will get stuck in the filter rather than just keep floating around. So a couple of hours should be really, really clear. You also need to make sure your filter has got a fine filter floss, like that white stuff I put in here earlier, because then it captures it rather than just keep sending it round. But yeah, should be good, no time at all. Now what we've got here is what I'd expect you to see after fill up, using 5 pots of each. So now we can see after probably about a couple of weeks, we've got more plant growth, we've got more height on everything. We've had a trim in this time as well and some replants. And at this stage, everything starts to multiply and look great. And this is how I'd expect you to see the tank after about a month and a couple of weeks. Everything's grown in really nicely. We've got great height on all the plants. Plus the filter's been running a good while, so we're ready to put some really nice fish in. We have just come back from the fish shop. We've got quite a few new fish. I'm gonna keep them a secret. Not a secret, that's probably the wrong word.
It's a secret.
It's a secret. No, it's not a secret, I've just got them from a project, so I want to save them for those. But for this tank, we have got some amazing guppies. I know what you're thinking, guppies, but if you're new to the hobby, it's one of the absolute brilliant fish to start with. Not only are they like interesting to look at, but they have babies and they're fun, they're always out, they're swimming everywhere. You get males and females, you're gonna absolutely get babies, which is interesting for everyone to look at, especially if you've got like a family tank as well. These guys are amazing looking. Obviously we've got no light on them. Yeah, there's no light on them at the moment, so they're kind of, you can't really see it. But in a second, when we put them under that light, the RGB, I think they're gonna look great. They're quite chilly from the journey. So I'm just gonna sit them in for the moment.
Light off.
They don't think you, look, they're chill. They're guppies. They're not like spooked fish. Absolutely fine. We just give them like 20 minutes or so, so that temperature of that bag goes to the same temperature as this. Then we can let them go. And they will still look even better than that. It's just they're being blocked. The light's being blocked really, isn't it? Awesome. Right, it's been 20 minutes. We can now put the fish in. There's a few other little additions I want to do to the tank as well, but it'll be fine to do that after the fish got a bit more comfortable. They've been in the bag since the journey, so I want to get them out. Here we go, guppies all ready. They should look really, really nice in front of this light. Oh, look at that. That one at the back. I don't know if you caught it there. We'll get some close-ups in a second. The guppies tend to stay right near the surface to start with until they get a bit more comfortable.
Wow, that one.
Look at that one there. It's insane. They're actually colouring up better right now. It's obviously the stress of being in the bag. I did think when I pulled them out the bag then that, oh, they're not as colourful as I remember in the shop, but they are getting way more colourful now. So it's completely normal when you first put them in to be at the top. Don't worry, they're not trying to get oxygen. There's nothing like that. The tank's been set up plenty long enough. You can even see the filters just pushing in some air bubbles as well. Eventually, like the tank next door, they'll do what these guys are doing, look, and they're everywhere. Really interactive, really enjoyable, which is why I'm saying, like, if this is your first planted tank or your first fish tank even, and you wanted to go straight in and have a planted one, guppies are a great choice. Like, you get so many different varieties, you get the breeding, and good for all the family. You could have at least cleaned up this. That's a bit better. Yeah, give them a minute and they'll probably be all over the tank a little bit more. Sometimes when you first put fish in, it's good just to put a little bit of food in. Not too much, just a little, just so they know that they're nice and safe, there's food coming in for them. You do tend to get a little bit better behaviour after that as well. It's a little bit of flake there. There we go, I'll move away and they'll actually eat it. So it's now been a few hours, and as you can see, the guppies are a lot more comfortable now. Colouring has come in a lot more, looking beautiful. I don't know what this one's pecking at. Don't eat my plants, don't worry. Guppies don't eat plants. That one's just having a moment. But yeah, a very, very easy fish. Now, people worry that guppies and certain tropical fish you're going to buy from the fish shop need specific pHs of the water. But these fish have been bred so extensively now, and most of them are bred in a tap water of 7, so neutral pH. My pH of my water is 7 as well, so be absolutely perfect for them. And even in a tank like the one next door, we've got a lot of bogwood in here, which would be lowering the pH slightly. So you've got green neon tetras, which like a lower pH. You've got loads and loads of guppies, which apparently like a higher pH, yet the guppies are breeding, the neons are always out, everyone's happy and healthy. So yeah, it's a bit of an old school way of thinking, I think that is. Like back in the day when everything was wild caught, it might have been the case. But you know, no one's wild catching guppies these days that look like this, are they? Especially not like these ones. One thing I would recommend adding though, if you've got more of an available budget or just any knocking around, is some floating plants. Floating plants do make life a hell of a lot easier for you. They help purify the water, they help cut down on algae, they grow fast so you can just take them out when there's too many, and then they'll just keep regrowing. And to grow, they need to use nutrients, which means less chance of algae. So for this tank, I'm going to go with a few sprigs of Amazon frogbit. Guppies will interact with them a little bit as well, look. They will multiply very fast, but not too fast, like duckweed is too fast. This is more gentle and also easier to take out when you are getting too much. Blends in quite well with all the other plants, I think, as well. Again, not essential, but if you can get hold of any floating plants, it's going to make things a lot easier for you. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this one. You've learnt a few things if you're new here, and hopefully I've shown you how easy it is to make something that's real beautiful, can be a standout piece in your home, something you can enjoy for a long time to come. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.